Hey everyone, this is Dan, the GM, bringing you episode 171 of What the Dice. With 171 episodes in the can, and we have only a handful left, I can't thank you all enough for joining me on this amazing journey. We already have started Season 2. It is already in the works. We have recordings, we have been promoting it, all of that. So it's coming. And prepare yourself. That's it. Join our Discord and all that, and I will see you all in the next episode. Sit back, relax, and enjoy episode 171 of What the Dice. Looking around this cavern, we see the tapestry of fate. These strange threads dancing and moving, threading and twisting, creating the story that is of the mortal realm below. We watch as the storyteller, Death, is talking to Kalila and Defibulus. We can see a thread coming from Kalila, Mugen, and Defibulus' chest that seems to invisibly dance around and thread within the tapestry. As we look down at our own chests, we notice that the thread that comes from our chest is growing. It's threading itself, it's rebinding, and we're not sure what is going on. We look over at the storyteller, who looks past the adventurers at us and gives a smile and a slow nod as we close our eyes and we start to listen to what is being said in this strange and mystical cavern. In the last episode, Defibulus had a chance to talk to his parents with Kalila in tow and gets to have a little closure and a little bit of time with those he had lost. At the end, they make their way back to Death, who transports them into this cave of strangeness, walking across this blackened stone walkway to a massive tapestry that fills the roof and the sky above. We come back with Death outstretching his hand to the tapestry.
This, my dear adventurers, is the tapestry of fate. Please look upon it and tell me what you see.
I need a perception check.
32.
37.
As you both look over the tapestry, it starts to move with you. You start to see images that are drawn like cave paintings, then more and better paintings, and threading continues on. And then it gets to a more modern time for you. And then you start to see threads that are looping back on each other and twists into knots. And as you start to pay attention, you start to notice that there are segments of the tapestry that are being folded over in a giant loop and sewn back into place. That'll continue on for a little bit further, and then it splits and does it again. And again. And again. And again. And it looks like it is repeating the same 5 years. But the loop seems to jump back about 30 years. There's this strange change. Threads start to go bare and disappear and reappear, and things just don't look natural, like it is something is changing the flow of the threads. Death stands there, leaning lightly on his scythe, letting you study the tapestry to your heart's content.
After staring at this loop, Kalila's gonna look up at Death and go, "Are we allowed to ask questions, or do we have to try and figure this out on our own again?"
You may ask questions, and I will answer what that you need to see. But I want you to see something that cannot be explained. But ask what you wish.
I think your tapestry's broken, sir.
What he said.
And why do you think it is broken?
Well, this is all of existence flowing in whatever direction existence flows. But this little area right here looks like it's stuck in a loop, like it's going and then being folded and resewn. And I'm not much for sewing or seamstry or anything like that, but that's not right.
Do you agree, Kalila?
There's definitely something odd that there's this one strand that's repeating, splitting, repeating, splitting, repeating, splitting, and it seems to be on a 5 and a 30-year loop when nothing else is. And then you had the Nagas say that there was other attempts to bring that you have more knowledge than you're letting on.
He nods. He moves his hand and the tapestry comes closer. And you start to notice a couple of things that are similar. But they are not quite the same. As you look, you can see a map of the continent, and the holy city is in different places in each time. And then it loops back, something else changes. But then you start to notice these strange threads that start from nowhere. And Death leans in.
You see these strange threads, things that just don't seem to make sense.
Where does it come from?
The gods have an ability to manipulate the tapestries, but they all have to be in agreement, which is rare. Usually when they all come to an agreement, a hero is born. Not a hero for one god, mind you, but a hero for Neratova itself. There's a problem with what happens in this loop. This is the birth and destruction, or attempted destruction, of the forgotten god, the bone god. Each time he is, or thought of as defeated, he is not truly defeated. His mortal coil hasn't been severed. His godliness hasn't been disrupted. They just merely change. And because the bone god also has the power of the bone goddess, he is able to force the tapestry to repeat so that he can get as many tries as he wants. In order for him to get the power of the bone goddess, she must be snipped from the tapestry. There is a thread that must be snipped. At some point, heroes have snipped it and have chosen wrong.
He begins to move the tapestry, and he stops. You could see in this loop, the holy city is where you know it to be. And you see these slightly shimmering threads coming from different areas, coming to a point. And then you start to see blackened threads pass through.
There is a point, a catalyst, something that makes a good hero great. But in order for that to happen, a mistake must be made. Do you remember when you freed the priestess from the swamp?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you were leaving, how things felt different?
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
Yeah, because didn't we defeat the thing carving the runes, and that seemed to have lifted whatever was cursing the cursed swamp?
Yes. In a sense, you repaired the corruption that was in the cursed swamp. But in the process, you severed the chain that held back the floodgates.
The floodgates of what?
He moves his hand so you can see the tapestry a little clearer. And you can see, as you are all exiting, not in real time, but more as a pictogram, as you are exiting the cursed swamp, you can see a dripping with ichor hand pulling itself out of this vile-looking swamp.
Oops. Oh, you're saying we let him out?
Every time a loop happens, a hero saves the priestess, and the bone god is freed.
Kalila's ears are just gonna kind of slump back, going, I am so glad that I learned the stupid card lesson first.
He nods. As he continues to pull the tapestry back, showing you a different loop. This loop ends with the cursed swamp. It looks like the heroes were defeated, and it only takes 10 years, but eventually the bone god breaks free on his own, but things rapidly corrupt until there's a gold line, and it repeats again. This time, there's a single hero that defeats the corruption, but is defeated by Argaroth. It's not the same Argaroth you may know. It looks like it is a demon of some form. And so on, and so forth. Each time, it's a single hero that fails at some point in their journey. He gets to the last loop, and it looks like they are able to return to the point of getting back to the mainland. But you notice that there are different elements that are missing. There's no element of water, and there's no element of death. And they are struck down by a creature of pure corruption. He looks at you both.
Every time the gods try, they try with one. At this point, it seems as if you and your friends are an anomaly. You were not brought by the gods. You were not set forth on your journey by the gods all as one. Kalila, your god has sent you on your path. Clyde's want to be a paladin put him on his path. A strange woman set Faye on her path, and Defibulus was set on his path because of corruption. You heroes are an anomaly, a 1 in a billion chance that the tapestry itself is trying to make a correction. It is pulling threads from threads that shouldn't have been there.
We broke it.
Sounds more like it broke itself, and we're fixing it.
Okay, fair.
Death nods.
Many view the tapestry as just a movement of magic, as a record keeping, a binding of soul contracts to continue the manosphere. But it is a living, sentient thing. It knows that if it continues to wrap on itself, if it continues this loop of destruction, eventually it will start to unravel. The one anomaly that binds you all together is a strange rat with an obsession for knowledge.
Nicodemus.
Not only are you all an anomaly, he is as well. He has never shown up in any of the loops. There are 5 elements, and there are 5 heroes.
So, but I got questions.
And I have potential answers.
The Naga
Yes.
made mention that there had been, I guess maybe they were talking in the overall sense of others have tried to collect whether it was a group or emotions to the tapestry, as it sounds as one hero at a time. Who sent them on the quest then, if Nicodemus is the anomaly this time? How and where did they get the knowledge of the pieces to collect?
That is why gods are not allowed to interfere.
He moves the tapestry back to a hero that was defeated by the demon Argaroth and pulls it up to the beginning of the thread.
A young child born in poverty, sent to work as a slave in the mines, comes across a scroll bathed in light and hewn in gold. Upon reading it, he finds his destiny is to be a grand hero. With this knowledge, he sought out and began to defeat foes one by one, slowly acquiring the means and the gold to acquire the armor that he needed to start his heroic travels. A god, whichever it may have been, decided to get involved directly. But because this hero did not know hardship and was given the knowledge forthright of he was a hero, he failed because greed, because lust, because power, or because he didn't know what was actually at stake, or didn't care.
He moves it to a different one. This one is an orc that is a body built like iron.
Even the evil gods, or the gods of darkness, have tried their hand at sending something to fight. This one succumbed to the darkness from the get-go, and his body was sacrificed to the bone god. This was also the shortest of loops. At some point during each of these lifetimes, the bone god becomes so powerful and the mana becomes so weak that things just stop existing and the tapestry resets itself. Which also means that I am one of the only ones that know of these loops. The Naga are special to me. They are an enigma because they seem to gather mystic powers and strange artifacts that should no longer exist or shouldn't exist at all or haven't become existent. So they became worshippers of death, or as they call me, the ferrymen. And I give them knowledge to help them protect themselves from these strange loops.
So everything's just one really big, crazy, messed up loop.
Until now, I've watched you at first passing, and then as a curiosity, and then with interest as you navigate your way through strangeness. You have never given up your sense of self. You have never donned the egotistical armor of a hero. Defibulus has very forthright stated he does not believe in the gods, even though he has literally sat at the table with them.
Yeah, I'm still wondering about that one.
Nope, they don't exist.
And Kalila has always kept her naivety towards what goes on around her, but in innocence. You don't let the world around you corrupt. At any point, you could have become or taken on the mantle of some great hero, but you continue to travel as if you are just a hunter heading into a new field. You keep your ears and your eyes open. Faye was a knowledge seeker, or is a knowledge seeker, and what drove her was knowledge and a greed for gold, but mostly knowledge. Clyde, who at first I thought would end up being the one that would end up causing the rift, became more of the glue. He wasn't a hero to be a hero. He was a hero to help and protect. He didn't want glory. He wanted to do what was right.
And tie people up with ropes.
And tie people up with ropes.
We're gonna politely call that safety. It did keep you two together.
Well, you get to get drugged by him next time.
Yeah, I'll pass.
So you heroes, as well as the strange conglomeration of whatever Nicodemus is creating, has changed the flow of the tapestry. You have acquired, in the shortest amount of time, artifacts that have been forgotten or corrupted or even chose to be hidden inside something that no one should have ever found. Because of kindness, things changed. And you were all given chances to walk away, but you have all chosen your paths and what seems to be the correct path, at least for what I'm seeing.
Kalila will nod. She goes, and you can't tell us anything more about whatever the correct choice is for snipping that you mentioned?
He looks at the tapestry, and looks at you.
I only know what happens the moment it happens. I don't have the knowledge of the future.
He points at the tapestry.
I am directly linked with this. So as things change and as threads are added, I know about them. No hero has gotten this far. And I believe it is because between all of you, you have created and formed a different type of connection. You are not only connected with your deities, but you are connected with this tapestry itself. And I'm not sure how it happened.
Where in the tapestry does it show the splitting of the bone god and goddess? They were once one. Did it repeat that part too?
He opens his hand and moves, and the tapestry flutters and just moves until before the time begins, you see this amassness of formless creatures, each taking on a different aspect of what they want to create. And there is a deity that stands between the edge of light and dark. It is a body where half is male and on the back is the female. The female end faces the light and the male faces the darkness.
This is when they were together as one deity. They were formed by the mana to have a bridge between the light and the dark.
The tapestry begins to move forward, and there is a rift that starts to form between them.
The bone god began to see the mortals that they were creating as playthings, as something that he can use to push war and create chaos, where the bone goddess saw them as creatures that had a chance to reach godhood.
The tapestry moves on forward, and then there is a split.
At this point, they no longer could coexist. Their wants and needs and passions directly opposed each other, which then became two separate deities, but they were still linked by their powers. They both possessed the exact same powers, but in different aspects. One viewed it as a blessing to her followers, the other a curse to the warriors that couldn't fight hard enough, and he felt he needed to push them harder.
Kalila is just gonna, at this point, be contemplative and fall silent, staring at the tapestry.
Is there anything else you wish to know of the past?
She'll look to Fibulus.
He's kind of scratching his chin, lost in thought and thinking.
So other than knowing that we're special and seeing that we're in a loop, which we technically already learned from the Naga, I mean, why show us this?
Because I believe that you, heroes, are the end of the loop. I believe that the tapestry has chosen to fight back, and in order to fight back, it lined things up to bring the necessary skills and knowledges to make a hero from 4 different aspects. Well, 5 different aspects if you count Nicodemus.
I mean, it makes sense. There's 5 things that we had to gather.
I believe that this is the end of the loop, and that time, if you succeed in what you're going to do, that this is the end of this strange loop.
Well, puzzles aside, it is what it is. We are where we are. I don't know if anything else further knowledge is going to help us unless you can tell us exactly how to take down an ancient god that apparently defies the tapestries of fate.
He gives this strange smile.
I rather start our journey back. If you're willing to grant us the scythe. Also, speaking of which, do you know where the whatever part of the dragon rifle is for him?
Oh, you speak of Valdoros. One moment.
What?
He taps his scythe on the ground, and the tapestry begins to move. And you can see this strange piece of metal moving through the tapestry and down until it gently lands at the feet of Defibulus. It's a large barrel with a small notch on one side. It is hewn in silver and strange chromatic metals that give it this iridescent glow.
I believe that is the piece you were looking for.
And what did you call it?
I called it Valdoros.
Valdoros.
Yes.
Why?
Time will tell.
Kalila just kind of has this look on her face as her ears fall back yet again with the, of course you would say that.
What is life without a little mystery?
A book. I'm sorry, what? Hey, something fell on the floor over here.
Were you not listening to Fibulus?
Oh no, I was deep in thought on the whole, like, bone god, bone goddess, broken tapestry, all that stuff. Sorry.
Hey, look, it's your barrel.
Oh, yes it is. Nicely crafted. We know who made this thing. I'd really like to leave a note in the book about the people who built this thing, because this is really impressive craftsmanship.
Put it together.
Yeah, it'd be rude to just sit down in the middle of the floor and start fiddling, you know.
Now you can't. You've done that every single time.
Not every single time, thank you. Besides, I lost my train of thought. So there.
Death raises an eyebrow at you.
Do you not wish to complete the rifle then? If not, I can take the part back.
Oh, no. I'm going to complete it. I just figured once I'm done with here, I will take it over to the table and put the last piece together in front of my folks. So they both will know that the family dream has finally been realized.
I can grant that for you. That is easily done. Do you have any questions about the tapestry or anything else?
No, because if I stop and think on the tapestry, I'm just going to get lost in thought again.
He nods.
That, and as you said, you've never gotten this far before. So any questions we have that isn't in the past, which is kind of irrelevant but relevant, in your cards. No.
Then I will bring you back to the tavern so that you may finish your rifle.
He slowly waves his hand. As the sky turns back to night, you notice that there are a few more stars that have blinked out of existence. Death's scythe pushes back out the lantern as he begins to walk slowly down this wooden or this stone pathway. As you walk, you can start to feel the stone turn to wood. The cool air of this cave slowly starts to become more warm as the sounds of the tavern starts to become louder and louder as you phase back into the Spire Tavern. Death smiles and opens his hand, and the table that all of the inventors of time were sitting around comes close, and 2 chairs slowly rise from the ground, as well as a set of tools on the table.
That's a really convenient ability you have there. To find a table you want, create chairs, and put tools down. That's fairly important.
Death slowly nods.
Is there anything you would like to eat or drink while you work?
No, I try not to eat and drink while I work in case I spill something.
He nods as he steps back, standing nearby the table to watch, but giving you room to sit with Kalila. What would you guys like to do?
Defibiously noted to Kalila. Besides, last time I saw someone putting something together while eating and drinking, Dad tried to drink its gunpowder.
That just sounds disgusting.
It was.
Hi, Dad.
Just gonna smirk.
So, guys, I have something special for you.
Your father raises an eyebrow.
Fibius will put the dragon rifle on the table and the last part.
All the inventors that had this slight murmur go quiet as they watch.
I figured you guys should be here to see the last part put together.
Your mother nods. I've been dreaming of this day.
Because it's really cool.
What did he call the part, though? Alad something or other?
Valderos?
Yeah.
I think.
Said this part was called Valderos, which is kind of a weird name for a barrel. Amphibious will sit down, make sure to clean the piece, thoroughly clean the piece up, and attach it and start taking the tools that he was given and start attaching that piece.
Which Kalila's actually more like intrigued and has a complete look of bewilderment as she's kind of scratching the back of her head like, last time it assembled itself.
Defibulous. I need an engineering check. Or an engineering roll.
Profession or knowledge?
Aren't they the same?
No. They use the same wisdom. No, wait. Actually, one uses it. One uses wisdom.
Whichever one is the highest.
39.
With a 39, you go through and meticulously check over the barrel, making sure there are no scratches or marks that would stop it from being attached. You begin to go through and you mount the barrel, begin to place the screws in place, and you begin to screw them together. Each screw seems to get tighter and tighter as you work, until it is, after a long time, complete. There is a moment where it's quiet before you can look at the barrel clearly. It's all attached, everything's lined up, but the one thing that's different than the rest of it is you can see all the seams that make the barrel one piece. Unlike the rest of it, you can see all the screws, you can see all the branding, and Death gives a light nod as he smiles. It seems as if your goal is complete as he looks over at your parents.
Now I gotta find something to test this on. Wait, what?
Your mother and father and uncle look at you. Your mother slowly stands and smiles. Defibulus, the only thing that kept us here was wanting to see that rifle complete. With you completing it, it gives us a chance to pass on.
So you guys are gonna go finally rest like you were supposed to?
She nods. And that is thanks to you.
Tell you what, I'll take all the notes in extreme detail I can, so when I eventually get here and go on to the resting place, you guys can look over the notes so you didn't miss anything. Does that sound good?
She smiles and kisses your head. Absolutely. She stands and your uncle walks up, gives you a hug. Remember, aim between the eyes. It's the best place to hit.
That's pretty accurate.
He nods, gives you a hug, and stands next to your mother. Your father walks up to you and offers his hand. Defibulus, I couldn't be prouder of you.
He'll shake his father's hand and give him a big hug.
He returns the hug, and your father, in your ear, whispers, You've always made us proud. I'm glad that the company is with you. Live a long, happy life.
Don't worry, I plan to.
As your father steps back, they begin to glow a golden color as they slowly disappear into the air. Death looks at you and gives you a moment to take that all in.
Which Kalila's just in the background, just slightly fidgeting, trying not to interrupt this wonderful moment as the player is going, I'm not crying, you're crying.
As they fully disappear, Death raises his scythe and lightly taps the ground, and the tavern disappears a little bit. You are now standing on the top of the Spire Mountain. You can see the world around you, the wind whistling, and the black clouds that constantly envelop this area. As the weapon begins to glow in your hands, Defibulus. It begins to shimmy and move until it frees itself from your hand and begins to float. You can see silver and gold light pierce through the seams and begins to slowly seal them up. You see the banding and the screws slowly melt into the rest of the metal, and it begins to glow. Then it turns black, like a well-crafted black steel sword, and then begins to shift and gives it this iridescent glow. As it lands in your hand, you can feel a pulse of power. The rifle is complete, and you could feel something looking down at you.
He'll kind of look around, kind of like, what's looking at me?
Kalila's off in the background going, that's more what I expected. Why didn't it do the cool thing in there?
Death smiles.
Because what it is cannot exist inside of death. It cannot exist where its mortal coil is not.
Wait. She looks at Death. Are you saying that thing's alive?
That does bring up some serious questions there.
alive and dead are more of a mortal's concern. When the time is right, Defibulus, you will know more than anyone about what is in your hands. But it is time for me to send you to deal with a plague. A creature that has nothing good about it. A god that needs to be purged from the pantheon. And all it's going to take is a cut of a thread from one of the heroes for it to begin.
He holds his hands out with the scythe laid flat for you, for whichever one of you wish to take it.
Kalila will look at Defibulus, and if his rifle still stays in his hand and he doesn't make an immediate motion, Kalila will hold out her paws.
This one's all you.
She'll nod and graciously takes the scythe.
As you take the scythe, there is a rumble beneath you as the world around you begins to twist and morph as you are hurtled through the world, through time, through space. You are watching as miles pass you in mere seconds. You fly through armies that are making and waging war as you make your way straight to the holy city. And as the doors to the main chapel come into view, we end this episode here. We find ourselves standing, looking over the world on the top of the spire. There's no wind, it is calm, and death is standing next to us. The book in his hand as he looks out and smiles.
Well, me friends. It seems as if the adventurers are on their way to deal with this final showdown. A bone god bound, trying to take over our world, trying to remove the other gods. Heroes, mere mortals, must now stand in his way. Well, what comes next is what can determine if the tapestry of fate will loop once again, or if we are finally able to move forward. Well, me friends, it is time for us to say farewell, at least for now. There's much to do, much to see, and much to hope for. Until next time, me friends, may the dice gods bless your every roll.
We here at What the Dice would like to thank Paizo for creating Pathfinder, Epidemic Sound for our music, as well as Sirenscape for our sound effects. If you would like to reach out to us, you can do so on Facebook at What the Dice Pod, Twitter at What the Dice Pod, and of course email whatthedicepod@gmail.com. And if you liked our little adventure, please share us with your friends and rate and review us.